Noah Syndergaard made his Cleveland debut and turned in maybe his best start of 2023. Shohei Ohtani, he belted a pitch long and far. He's trying to become MLB's first hitter into the 40 home run club, and the Yankees yesterday, they got embarrassed again, this time in the Bronx against their division rival Tampa Bay Rays. All of that in today's MLB Recap, a series in which we recap every single game almost every single day. And a reminder, use code Fuzzy on SeatGeek if you're going to any games or concerts anytime soon. So before we talk about yesterday's games, we have quite a few trades to break down. The Diamondbacks, they made multiple trades. The first one I'll talk about, it's kind of a smaller one. They traded for the A's utility guy, Jace Peterson. They gave away a guy, Chad Patrick. So Peterson, he's a 33-year-old infielder, utility guy, whatever you want to call him, hitting .220 with 6 home runs in 92 games. But he does most of his damage against righties, so he's going to be a platoon guy. Chad Patrick, who the A's got in return, is a soon-to-be 25-year-old starter with a near 4.5 ERA in the minors. So not really going to get much for Jace Peterson, and that shows. The Diamondbacks also picked up Paul Sewald of the Mariners. This one came out of nowhere. In exchange, they had to give away Josh Rojas and Dominic Canzone. Paul Sewald, the Diamondbacks are getting a 33-year-old closing pitcher. He has a 2.7 ERA and an almost 11.5 strikeouts per 9 over his last 107 innings dating back to last year. This is a big move because the Diamondbacks, they've lacked a true closing pitcher for the entirety of 2023, so that's a big move in my opinion. The Mariners, they're getting 29-year-old utility guy Josh Rojas, who's been awful in 2023 with a 64 OPS plus, but last year in 2022, he had a 112 OPS plus with 25 doubles and 23 stolen bases. So maybe a fresh start is all that Rojas needed. And then they're also going to get Dominic Canzone, who had 8 RBIs in his first 15 MLB games. His AAA stats this year were insane. He hit .355 with 16 home runs in 71 games. So they're going to look to him to replace Jared Kelenic. Seattle was not done. They traded AJ Pollock and Mark Mathias and some cash for a player to be named later. So I don't know who the Mariners are getting in return, but the Giants, they're getting 35-year-old AJ Pollock, who has been absolutely pathetic with the 173 batting average, but he has a career .512 slugging versus lefties, so that's all that he's going to be doing. Mark Mathias, he turns 29 tomorrow. He's a high walk, high strikeout guy. He had 5 home runs and 65 at-bats last year for the Rangers, so maybe he can turn into something good for the Giants. We have another A's trade to talk about. They traded away lefty Sam Moll to the Reds in exchange for a prospect by the name of Joe Boyle. Sam Moll, he's a 31-year-old lefty with a 3.6 ERA since 2021, and he has a solid 10 strikeouts per 9 over that stretch, so a welcome addition to that Reds bullpen. Boyle, he's a 6'7", soon-to-be 24-year-old pitcher. He has prodigious strikeout stuff. He has 122 strikeouts in 84 innings. It does not sound fun at all to face that guy, so the A's, they pick up a pretty good future prospect in Joe Boyle. The Brewers made a little splash yesterday. They traded for Mark Canha of the Mets, and they gave away a young prospect by the name of Justin Jarvis. Mark Canha, he's a 34-year-old outfielder slash first baseman slash DH. He walks with the best of them. He has a .370 on base percentage since 2019, and he's pretty good against lefties. Justin Jarvis, he's a 23-year-old starting pitcher. He was dealing in AA before getting absolutely rocked in AAA. He has really good strikeout stuff, so the Brewers, they get Mark Canha. The Mets, they get Justin Jarvis. 2 more big trades to talk about. The first one, the Cubs acquired Jeimer Candelario. The Candyman is on the move. The Nationals, they get DJ Herz and Kevin Made. We'll talk about them in a second. Jeimer Candelario, again, he's going to Chicago. He's a 29-year-old switch-hitting third baseman with 30 doubles, 16 home runs, and an almost 130 OPS plus with amazing defense at the hot corner. In exchange, the Nationals are getting DJ Herz, a 22-year-old starter, one of the nastiest starting pitchers in minor league baseball. He has a 12.5 strikeouts per 9 as a starter. That is insane. That is 80 strikeouts in 59 innings, but he is prone to walking a few. They also got Kevin Made, a soon-to-be 21-year-old infielder. He's hitting .241 with 3 home runs and 70 A-ball games. He's going to be a project for sure. And then last but not least, for the big splashes, the Rays, they got Aaron Civale of the Guardians in exchange for their best hitting prospect, Kyle Manzardo. Aaron Civale just turned 28 years old. He has a 2.3 ERA in 2023 despite the strikeouts being down, the walks being up. He has an incredible sinker and curveball combination, so the Rays, they love guys like that. In exchange, the Guardians are getting Kyle Manzardo, a 23-year-old top 100 prospect who's hitting .291 with 87 extra base hits and a .935 OPS in 179 minor league games. But the question is, what happens with Josh Bell? He has a player option for 2024. Josh Naylor, he still exists, so where's Manzardo going to play? So just to recap the biggest trades from yesterday, the Diamondbacks, they picked up Paul Sewald. They have a bona fide closing pitcher. The Brewers picked up Mark Canha from the Mets. He is a high on base percentage guy who plays decent outfield. The Cubs, maybe the biggest splash so far over the last few days. Jeimer Candelario is going to Chicago, and then Aaron Savali, he got traded for Kyle Manzardo, who everyone says might be the best hitting prospect in the minor league system right now. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the games from yesterday. First and foremost, a walk-off W. Seth Lugo and the Padres were facing off against the Rockies, and Seth Lugo did a great job over the first 4 frames, but Colorado, they came up huge in the 5th inning. Elias Montero, he laced a go-ahead 2-run double, and Ryan McMahon, he launched his 17th home run in the 6th. Now, the Padres, they got within 1 on an RBI single from Matthew Batten. I just learned of his existence today. I'm sorry, Matthew Batten fans. And just what was this? Juan Soto, he was sent home in the 8th inning. They tried to run on Brenton Doyle. Brenton Doyle has one of the best arms in baseball. He could throw 102 to 103 miles an hour. A terrible call in my opinion. Now, Trent Grisham, he's going to step in as San Diego's last hope, and he clutched up 422 feet to tie it, so extras we go. San Diego, they couldn't muster a comeback in the 10th, so this pop-up from Ryan McMahon could win it. Brenton Doyle, not only does he have a cannon, but he's quick as well. His speed wins it as the Rockies walk off the Padres 4-3. Another 4-3 ball game. We have a massive, massive series for the NL wildcard and NL West. Game 1 of 4 between the Diamondbacks and the Giants, so buckle up. This is going to be a wild series. Wilmer Flores, he went deep to center field. He's going to get a double. No, he's not, because Alec Thomas, he was flying out there in center field. What a grab. Okay, there's Wilmer with the home run. He pulled it to get away from Alec Thomas. He's hitting 298 with 14 home runs and a 141 OPS plus. Hello? Now, after the Giants went up by 2, Corbin Carroll got a little rally going for the Diamondbacks in the 6th inning. He singled home Ketel Marte, and then Lourdes, I almost said Yuli Gurriel, that's his brother. Lourdes Gurriel doubled in Corbin. It's now tied at 2-2, and it stayed that way going to extra, so more free baseball. Both teams traded runs in the 10th inning, so the 11th we go. Ketel Marte, he ran into a baseball. He punched a go-ahead double the other way. He's hitting 295 with 43 extra base hits and a 142 OPS plus. Scott McGuff, he turned back into Scott McTuff to hit. He has 9 saves on the year. He's no longer going to be the closer after Paul Sewald gets there. The Diamondbacks, they're back to just 1 game back of the Giants. Another big series, we have the Cubs and the Reds. Marcus Stroman has been terrible lately, and that continued versus Cincinnati. There's an RBI double to Will Benson in the 2nd, and Luke Maile, he did the same, but he brought home 2 on his double. Dansby Swanson, he got one of those back on his 13th home run, and Cincinnati immediately answered with a 3 spot in the 3rd. They got hits from Jake Fraley, Joey Votto, and then I think they got one more on a ground out or a fielder's choice from CES, that is Christian Encarnacion Strand. Since the London series versus the St. Louis Cardinals, Marcus Stroman has a 9 ERA and 7 starts, and opposing hitters are hitting 320 against Stroman over that stretch. He and Luis Severino have been terrible over the last few weeks. Now, Chicago, they answered back with a 3-run 3rd of their own. They made it 6-4. We're going to skip to the 8th. Morel, he had a liner to center field, and Jake Fraley, he couldn't make the play, so it's 6-5 now, and Chicago, they have all the momentum, but Alexis Diaz, he said, that's cute. I'm going to go ahead and throw a 1-2-3 9th inning for my MLB best 30-second save. The Cubs just barely lose to the Reds, but they're not done in the trade deadline. I feel like something crazy is about to happen. Jeimer Candelario and maybe, I don't know, Justin Verlander. Who's next? From the Reds to the Brewers, we're going to jump straight into the Milwaukee game. Cincinnati, they can improve to 2 games over Milwaukee if Washington can steal a W. Joey Meneses, he sent that baseball out. He's been locked in lately. 6 home runs and 19 RBIs while hitting 294 over his last 22 games. Milwaukee, they ended up tying it when Lane Thomas, he quickly stole the lead back. He singled in CJ Abrams. It's 2-1 Washington. Not for long, though, because Monasterio of the Brewers, he knocked Jake Irvin out the game. He ties it at 2 runs apiece. Milwaukee, they then grab the lead on Joey Wiemer's 13th home run. So all Milwaukee has to do is get through the last 3 innings. Just a newcomer, Liover Peguero, I think that's how you say his name. He had other ideas in mind. Lane Thomas, they clutched up to tie it, and Joe Meneses, he broke the hearts of Milwaukee fans while also breaking his bat. A 2 RBI double for the win, and then Kyle Finnegan, he knocked down his 15th save. The Nationals do steal a W against the Brewers, and the Reds are 2 games up in their division. The Phillies and the Marlins, Jorge Soler, when he hits them, he hits them very far. There is no doubt about him. That's a 2-run home run off of Taijuan Walker, but I think that made Taijuan mad because he did not allow another run for the rest of the game, and his offense picked him up in the 4th inning. Rookie Johan Rojas, he roped his first career double, bringing home 2 RBIs in the process, so we're going to head to the 6th inning. Taijuan, he got in a little bit of trouble, but Brandon Marsh, he made a nice diving play in right field, so he saves any runs from scoring. Philly, they got some base runners on in the 7th when Bryson Stott, his sac fly put the Phillies up by 1, and Alec Boehm, he added to it with a single in the 8th inning. Craig Kimbrell, Still an easy ninth inning. I think he set them down 1-2-3, or maybe he had a walk or something like that. He has 18 saves. This is also a big series because the Phillies and the Marlins are fighting for that final wild card spot in the National League. Another team that is fighting for a wild card spot, the Angels, and they are facing the mighty Braves. Let's see who takes the W. Luis Rengifo has been one of the best players in baseball lately at grabbing extra base hits. He belted his 10th home run of the season, and there's Grichuk's first as a Halo. 14 years after being drafted by the Halos, that is his very first home run with the Angels. Chase Silseth, he was nails. He allowed just one run on Matt Olson's 36 home run. I do want to show that, but Chase, he went 5 innings, only allowed 3 base hits with 4 strikeouts. Chad Wallach, he hit one 441 feet. This dude does not make a lot of contact, but his raw strength, when he does make contact, the baseball goes very, very far, and same with this guy right here. Shohei now has 40 home runs. Wait, never mind. Michael Harris, he makes the play. I don't know if that would have left, but what a catch. He robs Shohei Ohtani of potentially his 40th home run. CJ Cron, he brought home another run to make it 4-1. And then another newcomer, Reynaldo Lopez, he struck out 3. He was throwing 101 to 102. He got the save. So Randall Grichuk, CJ Cron, and Reynaldo Lopez, all of the newcomers, they came in huge yesterday. They beat the Braves 4-1. We had a really weird start to this Yankees and Rays game. Domingo Germán was scratched with armpit pain, like he had a pulled muscle in his armpit, but then he pitched later on in this game. Anyway, Johnny Brito, he was named the emergency spot starter, and Brandon Lau, he said, thanks a lot for that. I'll take a 2-run home run. He has 5 home runs and 11 RBIs over his last 12 games. Wander Franco, he went to the second deck, and Isaac Paredes later hit his 21st home run. Josh Lowe, he made it back-to-back. Josh Lowe has 14 home runs and 22 stolen bases. Here's where things got weird because Domingo Germán, he came in the game. He tossed 5 shutout innings to end this game, so he was healthy enough to throw 72 pitches in relief, but not start the game. Tyler Glasnow, he was out there shredding, by the way. He had 8 strikeouts over 7. He allowed just 1 run on 3 base hits. Over Tyler Glasnow's last 7 starts, he has a 2 ERA and 63 strikeouts in 43 innings. Giancarlo Stanton, I just want to throw this out there. He struck out in the 9th. That means the Yankees have struck out 30 times over the last 2 games, a franchise record for the Yankees over a 2-game stretch. The Yankees are now just 4 games above 500, and they're officially behind the Angels in the AL wildcard. The Blue Jays have been pretty bad against the AL East all year, and that trend continued early versus the Orioles. Ryan Mountcastle, he laced a 2-run single, or double I should say, in the first inning, sorry about that, and Gunnar Henderson swatted his 17th home run. He has 6 home runs and a 130 OPS plus over his last 22 games, and it got worse for Toronto fans as Bo Bichette, he had to leave after injuring his leg in the 3rd inning. It was going to be a double. He had to hold up. I hope and pray that he is okay. Kyle Gibson, he tossed a beauty. He held the Blue Jays to just 1 run over 6 innings. Whit Merrifield, he tried by himself to get Toronto back into the game. He ripped a home run and then almost clutched up again in the 9th, but Austin Hayes, he saved it. He laid out like prime Kevin Pillar. He robbed Whit of definitely extra bases and RBIs. Felix Bautista, the Mountain, he struck out 3 more hitters. He has 29 saves and a 0.87 ERA. Here we go, the Mariners and the Red Sox. Jarren Duran channeled his inner Grady Sizemore in the 1st inning. He stole his 22nd bag, and then mayhem ensued. He went to 3rd base on the air and then scored on another air. His speed is 100% a difference maker, but so is Cal Raleigh's pop. He's up to 15 home runs now. More on him in just a second, because enter George Kirby. Kirby struck out 7 over 5 innings. He only has 14 walks on the entire season. He leads all of baseball in walks per 9. He's not going to get the W though, because aside from Cal Raleigh, the entire Seattle offense kind of stunk up until the later innings. We'll talk about that, but Cal now has 16 home runs. He is one of the best offensive catchers in baseball. The Mariners are up by 1, make it 3. Julio, he ends July with 15 RBIs, 6 stolen bases while hitting 291. He's back to being J-Rod. Eugenio Suarez, he made it a 5 spot. He has 65 RBIs on the season. Teoscar, he dribbled in 1 more, and then J.P. Crawford, look at that snag to end the game. The Mariners are now tied with the Yankees in the wild card. Here we go. Noah Syndergaard was making his debut, and Thor was given an early 2-0 lead, and Thor actually looked pretty sharp. Now, he did not strike out anyone, so some would say that he actually got lucky in this game, but, I mean, he basically was told to go pitch. He was going to call his own pitches and just to try and be normal Noah Syndergaard, and that kind of worked. There was no pressure on him. He went 5 shutout innings against Houston's death lineup. I mean, Jordan was in there and healthy. Jose Altuve, Tucker, Bregman, everyone. I mean, you name it, they were in there. Pena, Abreu. He allowed just 2 base hits through 5. Just unfortunately, his night was cut short. He was hit by a comebacker and he had to come out the game. Then relief pitcher Eli Morgan completely folded. He gave up a hit, a walk, and then, I mean, that's sick right there. It's Jordan though, so I mean, you almost expect that. Jordan's 3-run home run was his 19th. The Houston Astros got all the way up to 7 runs. So speaking of 7, rookie JP France, He went 7 innings with 6 strikeouts. He has a wicked changeup, by the way. Ryan Presley, he now has 25 saves on the year. A lot of today's games had big effects on the standings, so let's do a quick recap on those standings. I forgot to do an Immaculate Grid yesterday, so we're going to do that today, but before we do that, the standings update. So the Orioles, they've won 2 in a row just like the Rays, so nothing is changing in the American League East. The Twins, they're on a 5-game losing streak, so luckily the Astros came in clutch yesterday against the Guardians. The Twins are 1 game up in the AL Central. In the American League West, look at what the Astros are doing. They're 6-4 over their last 10, which is not insane or anything, but because the Rangers have lost 3 in a row, they're just a half game back of the Rangers for first place. Nothing to talk about in the NL East, but in the Central, okay, I lied. The Brewers have lost 4 in a row, while the Reds have won 2 in a row, so they're a game and a half, not 2 games ahead for first place. And then in the West, we have the Diamondbacks. They're 3-7 over their last 10, but at least they won yesterday, so they're 3.5 games back of first place. But if we take a look at the NL wild card, you have the Brewers, Diamondbacks, and Marlins all tied for that final wild card spot. The Phillies, they're up by a half game for the second spot, and the Giants, they're up by 1 game. Then you have the Cubs, the Padres, the Mets, all within 6 games. In the AL, you have the Rays, Astros, and Jays all kind of firmly in the first, second, and third spot. Then you have the Red Sox, the Angels, the Yankees, the Mariners, and the Guardians all within 6 games. The wild card is going to be absolutely just crazy this year. Now let's go ahead and try and get this Immaculate Grid out the way. So we have the Mariners and the Jays. Wasn't Taijuan Walker on the Mariners back in the day? Taijuan Walker, 0.6%. Look at me go. The Brewers and the Blue Jays, I could go with Rowdy Tellez, but I feel like a lot of people are going to guess that. Rowdy Tellez, maybe. I'll go ahead and save that. 30 stolen bases for the Blue Jays. Didn't Bo Bichette steal 30 stolen bases? I can't remember. I'll come back to that. Astros and the Mariners, I'm going to go with Kendall Graveman. Hold on, Kendall Graveman. Yeah, Kendall Graveman was on both teams. 22%, so not the best. We have the Mariners and the Angels. I'm going to go with Upton. I feel like Justin Upton is a pretty good pick that a lot of people might not remember. 10%, there we go. The Angels and the Brewers. Angels and the Brewers. I'm trying to think of this. Was CC Sabathia ever on the Angels? No, he wasn't. I know he had a brief stint with the Brewers. What about Greinke? Wasn't Zach Greinke on both of these teams? I'm going to be pulling this out the hat if I get this. Yes, Zach Greinke, 7%. 30 stolen base season for the Angels. I mean, I know Mike Trout has stolen 30. What about some other guys? Mike Trout has stolen 30. I know that Sean Figgins stole 70 once upon a time. Did Maister as tourist? Does that name ring a bell? Eric Ibar. I know Eric Ibar was pretty quick as well. You know what? I'm going to risk it for the biscuit. I'm going to go with Eric Ibar. Oh, I don't even know how to spell it. Ibar. I'm going to go with Eric Ibar and just hope that he did 34%. Let's go. All right. 30 stolen bases for the Astros. So I know that Altuve has done that easily. What about some other players back in the day? Maybe Biggio. Should I go Biggio? Did Biggio ever steal 30? Did he steal 30? He did. 21%. I feel like Altuve was probably more than 21%. I think Michael Brantley was traded from the Brewers way back in the day when he went from Milwaukee to Cleveland, but I don't think that he ever played a game, so I don't know if it counts. The Astros and the Brewers, I might have to think for a second because that's tough. The Blue Jays and the Brewers, I'm going to go ahead and just do Rowdy Tellez because I can't really think of anyone else right now. So Rowdy Tellez, Blue Jays, yeah, 24%. I knew that was going to be a lot. How do I not get a 30 stolen base season for the Blue Jays? Let me just go back. Jose Bautista never did that. Aaron Hill was quick, but I don't think that he stole 30 bags. Kevin Kiermaier just got to the team, so he hasn't stolen. I got to think about this. For the Astros and the Brewers, I don't remember. So Chris Carter, the reason why I use that name a lot is because he went to my high school, and I was at In-N-Out when he got traded from the A's to the Astros, I think it was. But I'm almost positive that he played for both the Astros and the Brewers. 5%. Okay, that was huge. We have one more. I feel like 30 stolen bases don't come around too often, and for the Blue Jays, that should be pretty straightforward. I mean, I'm trying so hard to think about fast guys that played for the Blue Jays, and Sean Green, did Sean Green ever steal 30 bags for the Blue Jays? I might go with Sean Green. I'm probably going to be wrong, but I'm going to go Sean Green as a, did I spell his name wrong? Hold on, let me go Sean. I don't think that this is right. Did he ever steal 30 once upon a time? Oh, he did. That's my best rarity score ever at 95, which is not that impressive, but that's my best grid to date. So that does it for today's MLB recap. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe if you're brand new. Don't forget to use code Fuzzy on SeatGeek if you're going to any events anytime soon. Save yourself 20 bucks off, popcorn and drinks on me, and I'll catch you guys in the next one, hopefully later today because the trade deadline ends today.